Hello, my name is Ken Spero. I'm the president and co-founder of SchoolSims. Delighted to welcome you to our mini video presentation today. Today, we're focusing on enhancing equity and inclusion in the classroom through simulations. The idea of culturally responsive instruction is a challenging one when we're focusing on student outcomes in the classroom. These are things that are highly dependent on a teacher's ability to exercise good judgment, because then when you're focusing on the needs of every individual student in a culturally responsive way, obviously it requires you to be thoughtful because it won't always play out the way you intend it. And there's always one student has their needs, and at the same time, other students have their alternative needs. So when we think about this idea of using simulation, one of the things that it allows us to do is use realistic scenarios for students to practice so that they can have an opportunity to engage and to try things out when you're talking about being culturally responsive, and to how do we exercise judgment, and also how do we be prepared for what's going to happen once we do make a decision, because it's not always going to work out the way we expect, and not either for the student that we're focused on or for the other students who are also have needs and you need to be attending to them. At the same time, by getting practice and then having the opportunity to reflect, as simulations provide that opportunity for, it allows for improving informed decision making, right? Because now we're having the opportunity to, having made decisions and realize what could go wrong or go right with those, the possibility of how we exercise judgment will be more informed, especially relating to issues of equity and diversity and things that manifest in the classroom. The opportunity to also have greater empathy, because when you see how things play out, even when you have a good idea of what it is you want to do in terms of demonstrating cultural sensitivity or sensitivity to a student's needs, sometimes it doesn't always go as well as you thought. And this gives you the opportunity to, instead of being defensive, to have an opportunity to exercise empathy, to be able to provide understanding, and be able to really be more thoughtful about, maybe, again, you made the mistake, but it's important to course correct, right? Because there's no such thing in life as a one and done. You make the decision, even if it doesn't go well, you got to be prepared for dealing with what happens. And the only way to get better at that is through practice and having that kind of understanding, as well as potential empathy, both for yourself, but also for the students that you're dealing with. One of the things that we have found is that there's data out there in terms of understanding the impact of culturally sensitive instruction relative to students and addressing student needs in terms of improvements in math scores and reading scores. And you can certainly search this research that's quoted here, as well as other kinds of research that has been done over time, which really demonstrates the benefits of this kind of important application through both better instruction as well as better engagement by the students, so that they are more involved in the process of learning and want to come back and learn more. And when we think about the impact of simulations directly taken out of the research, and maybe going to, there's still additional research, but also anecdotal, in terms of what does engaging in a simulation provide for. And you can see some key insights here of a 75% increase in the cultural competence that teachers feel after going through an equity focused simulation, or a reduction of incidents, or in terms of that were damaging to classroom management. And you can see this both in our simulations, but the modality in general, and seeing what some teachers have had to say about the impact that simulations have had on their practice. We have simulations on topics such as building inclusive classrooms, dealing with DEI issues, both relating to books and content, as well as non-binary families, supporting student identities, managing classroom disruptions when students have particular needs which manifest in the disruptive way. But how do you manage that when we got to manage the behavior, but also understanding the needs of that student, whether it's a mental health issue, whether it's something else, but to have that sensitivity to be able to respond effectively. And simulations are a particularly powerful modality because of their scalability and flexibility to provide an opportunity for practice, so that teachers can get better at and continuously find the opportunities to learn from the past. Simulations provide an opportunity to make mistakes safely, but it also means that you learn that mistakes are okay if you manage them, And so that's the kind of practice that simulations provide. Stay tuned for our next in the series, and we look forward to hearing from you to discuss simulations further.